In this video, I'm going to show you how to construct your own custom searches. I always like to start from the very beginning. So before I do that, I'd like to overlay some of my favorite indicators. I'm going to start with 10P. That is our pressure indicator. And then I'm going to add 10SI. That is our relative strength indicator. And finally, I'm going to add 10 squeeze, and that tells us if the stock is in a compression. I'm also going to add some major moving averages, and we're ready to go. So now I'm going to click on Custom Search, and there we go. Before I get started, I want to mention that the platform has real-time data through the IEX exchange. There are also two brokerage interfaces that you can be using. I'm currently using IEX, and I am doing this after trading hours. So all we need to do is go through and start figuring out what we want to look for. I like to trade options, so I'm going to be using an option liquidity rating of 2 to 10. 10 is the max number. These will be very liquid options. I also like the ability to trade weekly options when possible, so I'm going to keep that marked as well. So one of the patterns that I really like looking for is a stock that is moving higher and that has negative pressure and positive relative strength. I call this the holy grail. When we find it, it's going to be very powerful, whether it's on a 5-minute basis or a daily basis. The time frame that you use really depends on your personal preference and your trading style. So let's go in and let's start with a bullish trade signal and a bearish pressure reading and a bullish, relative strength. And we'll click scan, and we see lots of results coming up, which is fine. The first thing that you want to do when you create a search is you want to cast a wide net. So let's also put in the same for a 4-hour time frame. And now we can see that the list is much smaller. Cast a wide net, narrow. And I'm going to show you some of the different searches that you can use in here. Although I've done that in other videos, this one I'm going to show you really how to save it and how to access the search once you have saved it. So I'm going to move this off screen just so we can take a look at some of these stocks. And because I used longer term time frames, I'm going to use a daily chart for viewing purposes. So there we've got our relative strength versus the market. There we've got our negative pressure reading, and there we have a stock that is moving higher and breaking out through horizontal resistance. So it's able to move higher even though it has this monkey on its back, as I like to call it. Take another look at the next stock. Very nice. Breakout through horizontal resistance, breakout above the 100-day moving average. Still has to get above that 200-day moving average. I'm going to put a GTC alert right there. If it gets through that price point, I want to know about it. So if you do this as you're looking at charts, you're going to log into the platform, and throughout the course of the trading day, you're going to get a continual stream of pop-up alerts for stocks that are really attractive and that are moving through significant price points. So you won't have to go looking for stocks. They're going to come to you. I'm going to keep taking a look. We got nice buy signal here, little negativity on the pressure. We've got a relative strength, so nothing too encouraging, but looks pretty good. This is an interesting stock right here, CI. You can see that it's been pounded recently. We've got that negative pressure reading. Stock is trying to edge higher. We've got good strength relative to the market and a super tight compression. I'm going to drop a line right above this bar right here, If the stock can get through it, it's going to start filling in the gap, and it's got plenty of room to run to the 200-day moving average. COP has been on the list, this particular search, for a while. Loved this compression, and you can see it in the yellow dot right here. There's your compression. It's out of the compression now, and that green dot was a compression breakout. So we have the 100-day moving average here. We've got horizontal resistance right here that the stock broke through. Great relative strength, and boom, there's the holy grail. We have negative pressure with the stock moving higher. This stock is going to go. Love it. So it's a little bit far out of the gate right now, but I do like this one. If I were day trading, I'd be zooming in on a 5-minute chart, and I would be looking for that buy signal, and I would be looking for that negative divergence, and you had a nice little trade in here, and you had a nice little trade in here. You had to weather a little bit of a storm right there, but you had that bullish trade signal, and you had that negative pressure here. The stock did end up moving higher from that point on, so that was really nice one. Let's take a look at the next one. We'll go back out to the daily chart, and we can see a nice horizontal breakout here. We got big time negative pressure, really nice relative strength. This stock wants to go. This one, I'm going to put a GTC alert right above that bar right there. That was the open, and it's above that horizontal resistance point. When this stock goes through it, I'm going to know about it. And you can also see we've got the buy signal right here. This is a really, really good candidate. Let me do one other thing. I'm going to click SPY, and I'm going to overlay the market. We had quite a sell-off on Friday, and I'm going to show you that. There's the start of the day, big reversal, big selling down to a new low of the day on Friday. What did the stock do? Barely pulled back. That's why it had good relative strength. We might be able to see that better on a 5-minute chart. Look at that big market decline right in there. But the stock held its own. In fact, it held above the low of the day. That's really nice relative strength. So let's keep looking at other stocks and see if we can find something else. Actually, I'm just going to move on to another search, but before I do that, I'm going to bring this back into view. I'm going to show you how to save a search. So let's click Save, and now we have to name it. And because this is more of a swing trade, I'm going to start with ST, swing trade. It's bullish, and I call that the holy grail, meaning the divergence, the negative pressure, and the positive price action. And I'm using a D1 time frame, and you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to stay with what I've got right there to keep the video as short as possible. In the description, I do want to be as specific as I can. Holy Grail for swing trades using signal. And I'm going to save and close. And when I do this, and I click scanner, there's my new search right here. Now, if I've done a good job documenting, I can click on the search, and then when I can't recall what exactly it does, I can click this question mark, and there will be a description. Holy Grail for swing trades using signal. Whatever I put in here is going to show up when I click that question mark. Now, if I want to make changes to the search, or I can't quite remember what all the fields were, I can click this edit button. Boom, there it comes. Everything that was marked is still populated. So now I can go in, and let's say that I no longer want these fields here. Perhaps I want to make sure that the stock is above the 100-day moving average. So now we'll run that search and see what comes up. And so these are all new criteria. It's a new search, so I can change it, I can modify it, I can make it more restrictive, I can loosen it up, whatever I want to do. And I can click Save. Do I want to keep the same name? Yes, save and close. So this is another way for me to be able to go back and look at saved searches and to remember exactly what was marked. Oftentimes, I like to keep the lower part of the criteria constant. I'm always looking for option liquidity that's good and weekly options that are good. And so I might not need to clear the lower section of the screen, but I can't always pick up visually all the arrows that or the boxes that I've marked in the upper section. So I'm going to clear upper and we'll start with a clean slate. Just hit that clear upper button. If you want to clear the lower section and keep the upper half, then you can click the clear lower section. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to try another search. So again, we're looking for positive price action, negative pressure. So let's go in and let's maybe look for a day trade. We'll click on a bullish trend line 20. Actually, we'll look for a bullish trend line 20 breach. So this would mean that we have a downward sloping trend line that's been breached to the upside. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to look for the negative pressure and strength versus SPY. So I won't go in on the trade signal, but I'll use these two criteria. Again, you can go into any time frame that you like to trade. I'm just using this as a day trading example. So I'm going to click scan and I'm going to move this out of view and we'll click on a couple of these and see what we've got. So I'm going to go off to the side here, ARNA, and I'm going to take that SPY overlay off, toggle on, toggle off. All of the icons down here, toggle on, toggle off. Very, very easy to overlay the indicators and studies that we use the most. And so here we can see a really nice buy signal in here. We had that negative divergence right there. Really nice. Now I have TL20 marked on a breach, so I'm going to put TL20 up. Click TL, click TL20, and there we go. There's our downward sloping trend line, automatically drawn by the system, and there's our breakout to the upside. We've got good relative strength, and that's what we were looking for. And we've got our negative pressure right here, so we have all the elements that we're looking for. Take a look at the next one. BA was next on the list. There's your trend line breach, happens to coincide with a buy signal. Look at that negative pressure right in there, and we've got a positive reading on relative strength. Nice little move right in there. We'll do one more, and then I might conclude this video because the combinations of searches that you can create in custom search are limitless. So I'm going to click on, I just picked ESRX just randomly. You can see the trend line breakout there. Maybe I'll do MA, MasterCard. This is a nice one. And there you can see how we've got the negative pressure, we've got the trend line breach. There's a buy signal in there, although we didn't search for it, and we've got positive relative strength, and there's your move for a day trade. So as I have this search up, I can continue to refresh it, and then this list will refresh, or I can save it and I can add it to my searches and I can have it up. As new candidates come in, you'll see them right on the list, and so you don't have to keep searching and keep refreshing. It'll actually do that on its own once it's in this list right here. So that's how you can develop your own custom searches. Very, very easy. This is all binary. So that's how supercomputers run, based on zeros and ones. That's how I've designed the custom scanner. So the upper portion of it is all bullish or bearish. I've gone through, I've optimized all of my proprietary indicators for each one of these corresponding time frames. So no coding required on your part. All you have to do is mark bullish or bearish and decide what your bias is. Mark these boxes off. You're going to be amazed at the different combinations you can use and the stocks that are going to come up versus that are going to come up through these searches. Really, really incredible. So I'm going to build a library out of these videos, and I'll show you a number of different ways that you can use this custom search to find these high probability trades.